Yep. Hello, Jim.
Hey, Jim.
All right. The clock on my computer says 7:01. So let's jump right on in. Thanks for showing up, everyone. And I don't want to welcome again our newest member, Dave. And I'm sorry, Dave, please help me out with your last name.
Flash and Rain.
Flash and Rain.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. Welcome aboard. Happy to have you.
Nice to
Yeah.
be Dave.
So I'm brief introductions. I'm Carl Engvall. I've been on the committee. I'm not sure for how long, but apparently my term is soon to be up.
Yeah.
And I'm currently working on doing a sort of an energy survey of the schools in our district, their energy use, and looking at ways where we could reduce their energy use. And I'm working with Matt Sharp, who works at Efficiency Vermont and also a Bristol resident. So that's my focus for the energy committee.
So I'm Richard Butts. Yeah, I don't know how long I've been on the committee either. It's more than 3 years, probably 5 or 6. And my focus is on right now anyway on the EV chargers and the municipal energy resiliency program, the MERP program. And I'll report that about both of those things. I'm also on the Addison County Regional Planning Commission and serve on the Energy Committee. So there's some nice things that I can find out there and report back here. Allison?
Yep, I'm Allison Pouliot. I've been on the Energy Committee for about 1 year. I guess I've been doing, I don't know, several things, whatever's needed, but during the day, I work for Window Dressers, which is a nonprofit that works with volunteers around the state to produce insulating window inserts. And so I've been kind of working that angle and then just, doing whatever I can do to help out the committee. So welcome.
Hey, Jim, introduce yourself. Jim is our monitor.
That's right.
Jim Quaglino, just a concerned citizen. Been around a lot of committees over the years. I was chairman of the Police Advisory Board for 20 years, and that came to an end a couple of years ago. Now I just keep on top of things and keep an eye on you guys. That's it.
Yeah.
He
Jim
knows,
keeps us in line.
yeah, he knows we need to be watched.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thank you, everyone, for that. Jim, since you represent every single resident of Bristol, any comments or concerns?
We waited till your mouth was full before asking.
Yeah. I did the waiter thing. All right. So I've added into the agenda, just pursuant to our conversation of 10 minutes ago, the end of term turnovers. And apparently I've missed an email that's telling me that my 3-year term ends in March of this year. Do I have that correct? Okay. All right. So happily we'll have, and I'll have to give it a think over whether I wish to do another 3-year term. I really enjoyed being on the committee, but life is also super busy. And at this age, I'm not sure if I want a super busy life. So I'm going to give it a think over. Be a hard decision to make. Richard, if you leave, then the entire energy committee will collapse. No one would blame you if you decided you wanted to step away, but it would also be awesome if you decide to stay on.
Well, I think that's the case too with Allison and Sally and Ben. Everybody's needed. I will do whatever. Maybe I should volunteer for one of the 2-year slots. Let's see, Allison joined about a year ago, so you would have 2 remaining, I would think. And David has 3. Just to get the staggering going, Ben, why don't you, or Carl, would you consider serving for 1 year? Or do you want to?
That seems reasonable.
So there's a 1 year, a 2-year, and a 3-year. And I think what I'd like to do is maybe a 2-year for now. Can always read.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
I don't want to go right away because I've got stuff on the plate.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I'm kind of feeling the same way too. I feel like Matt and I may be starting to get a little traction on getting the energy surveys going for the schools in the district.
Did you see that grant application? Good.
I did. Thanks so much for sharing that. I shared it with Matt Sharp and also, Floyd Davison.
Good.
So again, the 3 of us, finding time when all 3 of us can talk is a challenge, but that's later in our agenda. But I really like that idea of the staggered. I think that's a great idea, Richard.
And maybe what we should do in the next, maybe get a meeting, one of our, or a meeting that's not too far in the future. Maybe we need to start talking about like our secession plan, and maybe, people like myself or maybe even David kind of helping out with the stuff that you and Richard are doing, so that when you guys do leave, at least there's not this huge vacuum. So maybe we need to do a little bit more of that, just so that we have a good plan for how we're going to keep carrying some of these initiatives forward.
Mm-hmm.
Just a thought.
I think that's a good idea, Allison. And I'll just say that I right now I have nothing to do. So I'd be more than, on the committee. I have lots of other things to do, but so I don't have a charge, any particular, focus, but I would be happy to work either with you, Carl, or Richard on your projects. So to Allison's point, I think it would be good for us to start getting connect like 2 or 3 people on each subject. I think would be probably, or each program probably be a good thing.
That'd be great.
Yeah, because I kind of feel like you guys are giving me like a year to get used to what you all do, and maybe I need to step up and do something concrete. So
Well, you and David are both architects, right? And so certainly the MERP program, pretty soon we'll be getting the report in, and I think having your expertise, both of you, would be really good.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, excellent. So anything else to talk about on our end of term turnovers?
Do we want to suggest let Sally determine, maybe we'd contact her and ask her where she wants to fit in the slots?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think she could pick any one of them, and we're now diversified enough.
Where is she? Is she up in March as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
and we also have Ben, right? And we have Ben too, right?
Well, that's right. Ben joined us, I think, 2 years ago, so he might have 1 year remaining.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of Ben, I'm just realizing now no one is taking notes, but this meeting is being recorded. So Ben could just access the recording and generate notes, or someone else, and generate notes from that. Okay. Third order of business, approving the December 23rd meeting minutes. All in favor of approving those minutes?
Aye.
Okay, anyone opposed? Excellent. And we're approving the agenda for our meeting tonight.
I'd like to add the TENS thermal energy networks, which is another thing that Allison and David might want to select. So I'll talk about that at maybe the last item.
Sure. I'm just entering that right now on my online. Okay. Let's see. Update on EV chargers?
Okay. There's no update on the original application for the chargers that are going to be by the park. But they haven't received any information back from the program. But we just got a new request for proposals for level 3s. And that's going to be interesting because we're going to have to decide if we can find parking spaces. And basically, the level 3 program funding is for what they call public attractions. And it isn't like a, an animal park or something like that. It's the chargers are the public attraction. And so the idea is if we are more than 10 miles from another EV charger, and we are, we could try to get EV chargers that would be public attractions to bring people into Bristol. And so one of the caveats is that you have something for people to do that would take, at least a half hour of their time. And so we do grocery stores, restaurants, shops, all that kind of thing. So I think we fit the criteria. And the question I have is, I can talk to Val. She sent me the proposal. I had already gotten it, but she sent it saying, are we interested? And I sent back saying, are you interested? And I think if it's okay with you, I will see if I can go to the select board next week and try to get a sense of that, because there's only less than $1.5 million for the whole program. And that's going to be eaten up really fast. And so it might even be too late, but I'd like to get an application in early next week if the select board is willing to entertain the idea, which means they're going to have to be willing to relinquish some parking spots. And that's going to be a discussion because it was hard to get two. And we'll have to see. But if that's okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, fine with me.
Richard, do you have parking areas in mind where that would go? Is that like sort of at that corner, the corner of North Street, and or where are you thinking that it would go?
My thought is there are 3 spaces in front of the Historical Society. One is a handicap space. They're very rarely used. And so I think 2 could go in there. And there's also a power pole right there. And so it could fit the bill. I don't think they'll go for any more in front of the park itself unless it were on the other side. And that's a bit of a problem because they need three-phase power. So that might be an operation to get it over there. But we'll have to see. If you have any thoughts, about that as you drive around, walk around, shoot me an email, okay? Any of you.
Are there any spots over by the firehouse apartments?
Well, that's another category that could be very fruitful, because one category is multi-unit dwellings. And I'll have to drive over there and take a look. That's not town-owned property, and so we'd have to get, is Blittersdorf, is he the owner of that? I think the developer.
He and Kevin Harper.
Yeah.
Kevin Harper, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe we need to talk to them.
It seems to me that it wouldn't fit the bill of having, half an hour's worth of, the public attraction idea. Seems like downtown would be a better location for that. And
No,
that's what you're saying.
This is one of three categories, yeah.
Yeah.
And the multi-unit dwellings is one of the categories.
Yeah.
So that would work.
Does the town of Bristol own the land? Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Allison.
Does the town of Bristol own the land where the over by the where the hub is? Because next to the tennis courts, or does the rec department, or does the rec club own that?
I think the rec club owns it.
That's another area that would be another opportunity, but if the town doesn't own it, then I'm not sure.
Yeah, we can explore that. That's a good thing. I'll mark that down.
Because there's several parking spaces over there, and you've got the tennis courts, the pickleball courts, you've got access to the Bristol Trail Network. I guess people could go to the Legion for half an hour.
I'd also, this is all coming pretty quick. The deadline also is coming up very quickly for the grant application. So I'd like to know if the school parking lot, is that all owned by the school?
Yeah.
Are they interested in installing? I think that'd be a great place for a park and
Yeah.
ride.
Mm-hmm.
Or a park and ride.
Yeah.
Yeah. Darksboro has a park and ride.
I know.
But how would that work with a charger?
Well,
Because your charging would be about 40 minutes and then you got to move your car. You can't.
this would be level 2s.
Level 2s.
Yeah, so it would be somebody plugging in all day probably.
Yeah.
And they are Starkborough's park and ride has level 2 chargers.
And doesn't New Haven's park and ride, do they also have level 2
Oh, no.
chargers?
I don't know.
Behind the Robinson School, behind the town offices, they have theirs. They have the EV chargers there, and that's where their park and ride is.
Oh, you said Starksboro?
No, New Haven.
New Haven. Huh, I don't know. I'll take a look.
Oh, I'm sorry, behind Beeman. I'm sorry, I got the wrong school.
Yeah, you got me upside down.
I'm sorry.
All right. Good things happening there. Thanks for your work on that, Richard.
Yep.
Anything else to add to that, or are we good on that?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. Update on MERP.
No real update. We're waiting for the report to come back. The buildings were assessed. We were among the first in Addison County to have our buildings assessed. And it was a really good team. I spent the day with them as they went through Holly Hall, Howden Hall, and the library. And you could certainly see where $500,000 is just going to go like a shot. Um, so one of the things that I was very interested in getting level 2 assessments is that they were the ones that required the full building audit. And that would enable us, if federal funds come through as they anticipate this year, 2024, in addition to MERP money, there may be federal monies that could be applied. And when we get to the TENS, the Thermal Energy Network discussion, I'll kind of talk about that. We might be able to dovetail it. But basically, we're waiting for the report. And then what happens is it will have recommendations and cost estimates. And then the select board's really going to have to sit down and do some talking. That's not, we'll look at it and maybe make some recommendations. But it's really going to be a matter of prioritizing. And then we have to seek some contractors to get some bids. And all of that has to be turned in toward the end of the year.
Do they have any significant comments on site about what they were seeing, or is it too early?
Yeah, it was too early. They were very, very busy with imaging cameras, and they spent a lot of time in the heating systems, documenting and so on, and also up in the upper and lower bowels of the building, attics and stuff. So they did a really thorough job, inside and out.
Nice. All right. So look forward for more on that. Item number 7, update on geothermal system for Bristol schools. I think I've already really kind of covered that about 10 or 15 minutes ago. Matt Sharp and I are working with Floyd Davidson of the school district and gathering data on energy use in the schools in the district, and also looking hard at that grant application that Richard shared, where there's money available for schools for renewable energy projects. So as that shapes up, we'll definitely keep you posted.
What is the maximum allowed for the grant application?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't remember either. I think that one was much more open-ended, as I remember.
Right. I've glanced at it, but I didn't keep those numbers in my head. Let's see. Debriefing the Addison County Energy Gathering, which unfortunately I was not able to attend. But that was last Wednesday, yes? Am I remembering that correctly?
That's Saturday.
Oh, okay. And how was that? Did anyone attend?
Yeah, Allison attended, Sally and I. Hey, Allison, why don't you give your impressions?
Yeah, I thought it was good. There was it seemed like it was pretty well attended. There were most of the towns in the county were represented. There were a few I think that were missing, but there were several. Dan Fingus from VNRC kind of walked through 3 bills that are going through. One was the renewable energy standard, one was make big oil pay, and the other was climate resilience. So he gave kind of a brief statement on what each of them were. He took a lot of I think he took a lot of daggers, but he handled it well. It was quite interesting. He also sent around a form to sign up for, I think, 3 different things. There's a climate dispatch email that they send out once a week, I think, while the Senate or while the House of Reps is in session. And they're getting the newsletter, and I can't remember what the third one was. But that he did a nice job, and that was a pretty lively discussion. especially around the renewable energy standard. Then Maddie talked a little bit about the enhanced energy plan, which was good. My impression of that, and I kind of talked to Richard a little bit, was it seems like there's a lot of data, but it seems like the data maybe isn't very robust, I guess maybe I would say. It seems like it's a lot of, I don't know, I just, as me, as an engineer, I like data, but it just seemed like the data wasn't real. It wasn't real in a lot of cases. It was just kind of what they can pull together from different sources. So that was kind of interesting. So Maddie was looking for some feedback, I think, on the enhanced energy plan. And she's going to send out, like the slides that were shared and some of the information that she shared. So that'll be forthcoming. And then Jean Twilliger from the Climate Energy Action Center spoke about primarily about the Navigator program. And I picked up a couple things. I can scan these and send them to you. Just send them to everybody just so you can kind of look at it. They were kind of interesting. It's basically a group that's trying to organize around the county to share information. They're talking about, some of the towns have given them their MERP funds so that they can maybe hire a navigator to help people, kind of work through what's available and what they can do. So that was pretty interesting. They had lunch. We had lunch from Three Squares, which looked really delicious.
No, it was
And then,
wait a minute.
pardon?
Wait a minute. It was from Covers.
No. It was from Three Squares in Virgins.
They kept on saying it was from Covers. Really?
Oh no, Three Squares in Virgins.
Well, that made sense. Okay, I apologize.
No worries. And then Jim, tell me, remind me of Jim's last name. I know it like I know my own name.
Jim Dumont.
Jim Dumont was there, and he talked about the thermal energy network bill and also the low income electric ratepayer protection legislation that's going through. So he talked about those kinds of things. And then people had an opportunity just to kind of chat amongst themselves. So I think it was a really good opportunity for people from different different communities to get together and just kind of talk through some things. My biggest takeaway was this is really hard work, and there seems like there's some data. There's not a lot of really concrete data, so people are just doing the very best that they can. But this is not an easy nut to crack, and this is a lot of hard work, and there's a lot of people that are spending a lot of time and energy and passion to move this stuff forward. But that was my main impression. But
Yeah, that was a good overview. I think people were really happy to get together.
yes.
And
I think it made people feel like, we're not alone. We're not in this alone, and I think, at least, from my own experience, I think we can accomplish more if we can work together more, I think, because it's a huge problem. It's a huge challenge for all of us. And I think the more we can work together, the better off we're going to be. So it was good. And I think most people, felt the same way and, wanted to do this again or do this more. So that was really, that's what I took away from it.
Well, when a couple of questions, Allison or Richard. Well, number one, statement. I'm sorry, I missed it. But number two, when you say it's a big problem, did they focus on electrification? Was it energy conservation in general? Renewable energy?
To me, I'm thinking, and Sally made a really, really good point. Everybody is talking more about electrification, right? And the need to, increase, our amount of electricity that we can, generate, so that everybody, as they're buying, heat pumps and EVs and all these different, getting away from fossil fuels, there's going to be more of a need for electricity. And Sally brought up a really excellent point that, all of our talk is about, generating more electricity, and really it seems like we've kind of gotten away from conservation. So we need to keep both in mind. And then another really important thing I think that came up was that the transmission lines in Addison County specifically are at max capacity right now. So we need to increase our capacity so that we can generate more electricity, so that we can use more electricity. So to me, that seemed like a big point. I don't know what your thoughts on that, Richard. But you know, they kept talking about how there's different parts of the state that are their transmission lines are at full capacity, and where our area is one of those areas. So, you know, we've got to work or someone's got to work to fix that problem so that we can get more electricity, you know, so that we can use more electricity. So
I think that would be a good area for somebody to research, because you really hear conflicting stories, like
Right.
anything else. And Maggie Eaton, who I wish had been there, she's the chair of the New Haven Energy Committee, was refused permission to install more solar panels on her house in New Haven because of capacity. So even when somebody wants to do it themselves on their own property, they're being denied. And
Here's my naivete. Here's my naivete coming in. Who said no? Town of New Haven or the utility or who?
The utility.
Wow.
Yeah, Green Mountain Power.
Jeez.
So I don't even remember when I got my solar panels. I don't even remember, would the contractor that did them have gotten permission from Green Mountain Power? Because I don't ever remember going through that process of getting permission.
No, we didn't either. I assume
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Sun Common did ours, and we
Yeah,
just
me too.
Yeah.
Oh, did they get permission?
I think they must have to connect.
Oh, okay.
We did the same. We added a solar array in our parking lot.
That's right.
And that was Bristol Electronics. I don't remember them saying anything about the utility. I am a familiar. I do know Maggie Eaton. I know that was an issue, and I'm not exactly sure of all the details of it and why that particular installation was refused. But I was wondering if anyone had mentioned in the, talking about it, about storage, battery storage.
Tiny bit.
What's that?
Just a tiny bit. It was kind of,
yeah.
it was just kind of in passing. They said one of the solutions may be storage, energy storage, but we didn't talk about any specifics, but that did just briefly come up.
The solar field right across this river is a 2.2 megawatt with battery storage, which I think is pretty cool.
Nice. Is there a talk of having these meetings annually or semi-annually or quarterly or twice a year?
There wasn't a discussion about when, but it was just a discussion more of we should do this again. There wasn't, at least Richard, I left early. So was there any more discussion after that about when?
No, but I can guarantee you that Madison is definitely in favor of it. And since I'm on her energy committee, we will do it more often. I would think at least semi-annual. I would prefer quarterly, but semi-annual.
Yeah, I thought quarterly. Yeah, I thought quarterly would be appropriate.
Yeah, like maybe what we ought to do in the Regional Planning committee is put out a questionnaire or just a question, see what people would like. I didn't hear any discouraging words, so I think people are. Only thing missing. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it seems like a a good opportunity for people to share, knowledge and, their experience. And, you know, you start to foment some ideas between, between all these groups that are doing their own thing. I think it's really helpful. And I would also imagine, as Allison pointed out, that people and would feel better about the hard work if they knew other people were doing the same thing. So I think I'm kind of I mean, I'm disappointed I missed it. I didn't actually know about it, but it sounded like a great gathering.
And Madison Shropshire from Regional Planning Commission is terrific.
Mhm.
She is so organized and dedicated, and that's a real plus.
Mhm. And I think one of the other things that we could benefit from is, like, I think every town, every, energy committee probably has some best practices, like some of the things. I know we've heard a lot of people talk about, I've had people ask me out in public about, the community solar, because that people think that was a great success for, for our town. So, I'm sure there's other towns that, have done really cool things. It would be nice to be able to, could just kind of share. And I think we were probably one of the first, Richard, you were probably one of the first people to walk through the MERT assessment with the auditors in our county. So, that, sharing that information too would be helpful to say, what did you learn? What did you experience? Because it might help other people. Just like that. So like best practices, be able to share that. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, it's very, some of these things are very daunting when you first look at them. And then, if you had somebody who had been through it who could say, listen, don't worry about that.
Yeah, exactly. So no, it was great. I thought it was really good. Like you said, people were all very positive and encouraging, and I think people want to work together. So that was cool.
So the sandwiches were from 3 squares. That's great. There must have been 2 dozen of them left over, and nobody wanted them. And so
What?
I took them up to my church's coffee hour the next day.
There you go.
Excellent. Very
And
nice.
it was our annual meeting, and they wolfed those things down. It was really funny, but it was great.
Thanks
You
for
were
that.
probably a hero.
Yeah.
Thanks for that waste reduction effort.
Yeah, there isn't anything you can do really with fresh food except eat it.
Yeah, right.
All right. Thanks for the report. I definitely will have to attend the next one, no doubt. Absolutely. Item number 9 is update on David F's membership. I think we're good to go on that. Resolved. Very nice.
Yeah.
Item number 10 is the Thermal Energy Network.
So everybody knows what thermal energy networks are, and Debbie New, who's really pushing this around the state, and Jim Dumont have been. Jim has worked on the legislation to enable it. Basically, as I understand it, the bill that he has drafted along with Mari Cordes, and now Chris Bray has drafted a similar bill, and which is very good. It's great, as a matter of fact. And we learned that the bill is off the wall, so that it's already had a first round of discussion, and which means it stands a good chance of actually getting through. And that particular bill will enable towns and cities to become thermal energy network districts, like a sewer district or a water district. And that will mean that they won't have to go to the Public Utilities Commission for permitting. And so it'll expedite the process, make it simpler. And let's all work to get that through. And then he also talked about, just incidentally, a low income program, a bill to um, ease the burden on low income people. Because one of the things that I was concerned about, have been concerned about, is our Bristol Community Solar was not subscribed to by any low income people, and probably not very many lower middle income people. You've got to have disposable income to do that, and there are ways to fix that. And that's one of my major, when I've testified before the committees, it's one of my major uh, things that I talk about. And I think Jim's bill won't deal with that. His is a ratepayer protection plan, not a purchase of equipment, but I think they have to go hand in hand. So what I'm like to suggest, Debbie New has been producing videos of 15-20 minutes in length that describe the thermal energy network concept really well, graphically well done. And I'd like to ask if I could show it to the select board to get them up to date, and ask if they have interest in a potential thermal energy network that might be able to use the waste heat from Shaw's, the drugstore, the beverage supply, covers, and distribute that then to the town building, to Holly Hall primarily, but also up and down the Main Street block of buildings. So that, if it's okay, that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to ask the select board if they will let us form a group to investigate that.
Yeah, have at it.
Okay. And once we get a little read of that, then David and Allison, I think, and Ben, if he can do it in his schedule. If you guys are willing, you should definitely be on that group, along with Jim and others.
That sounds great.
Great.
Let's see.
I
And
Oh,
Oh,
I was just gonna
go ahead,
say, I
Dave, I'm
did
sorry.
read some of there's a bunch of PDFs about the thermal energy networks too, that probably are just taken right out of the video, I'm not sure, but it looked really interesting, and it was attached to that were the bills. And it appeared that both bills, Chris Bray's bill and the other bill, are exactly the same.
Mhm.
That I think it was just sponsoring both houses. So yeah, it's really interesting. So I would encourage people to take a look at that.
Yeah, I think it's Chris's S-252, I think. I can't remember. Oh, the House bill is 242. So we had a hell of a time last year trying to get that damn bill out of the Energy Committee in the House, and they were so swamped with other bills that they just couldn't pull it off the wall. So this is great to have, to have these bills now moving along.
All right. Anything else on the thermal energy network?
Nope, not for me.
All right, that's exciting. It's good stuff coming along. Finally, our item number 11 is any additional items that we need to add into our agenda last minute. Or do we have any agenda items for our future meeting? Anything we should carry over?
I think we should all talk at the next meeting about our commitments, and you know, Carl, you're gonna think about yours, whether you can do 1 year or, and we haven't heard from Sally and Ben, so it'd probably be good for everyone to just, you know, maybe that's a short agenda item, but everyone just kind of confirm where they are. Does that make sense?
And also what their interest in working on is. Are you thinking, yeah,
Because I do think we need to, you know, plan ahead, you know, a year goes by really fast and, you know, it would just be good if we have some sort of a plan so that, you know, we have people working these major initiatives so that when like Carl goes off the board or Richard, you go off the committee, that we got stuff covered.
yeah. And, you know, I've been doing a bunch of this stuff, but I'll be very happy.
Get some
Yeah.
help, right?
You guys, well, I mean, even you have more expertise than I do on some of these things, even though I've been working on them kind of as an advocate for decades. I have no pride of ownership on any of this stuff. So I think we need to work to people's talents and abilities and interest. So please always, you know, I go on and on about this stuff because I'm involved in it, but I don't own it.
When you guys talk about needing to go out and get bids for things, is that, do you have to go through, does the town have to do that or does our committee do that?
They asked, the select board authorized me to do it for the chargers. Certainly when we get to the big building programs where there's a lot of money involved, they're going to have to put out the request. Basically, the EV charger program is only going to cost the town less, I think less than $4,000, $2,000, less than $2,000. So it's not a big deal. But what'll happen with the MERP program is we'll come up with a figure, and if it's approved, the Regional Planning Commission will write a check and turn it over to the town, and the town will administer it. So the Regional Planning Commission is actually holding the money. I couldn't believe it. I've learned a lot being on the commission about how money flows around here. And, you know, their budget, their kind of in-house budget is over $1 million. And that does not include these flow-through things. So that's a big deal. They've got treasury bills and all kinds of things. It's pretty interesting.
Thanks. All right, I think we're done. Got some good stuff to think about.
So is our next meeting on February 21st?
Excellent question. Let me check my calendar.
I just want to make sure I've got it on my calendar.
Yeah.
Looks like it to me. Yeah,
You confirming that there, Richard?
that's the third Wednesday.
Yep.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right.
I'll be doing the agenda for that one, so shoot ideas to me.
Will do. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.
See you in
Nice.
about 3 weeks.
Nice discussion. This is fun.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of good positive stuff.
Yeah. Cool.
Without the gloom and doom. All right. Take care, my friends.
Take care, everybody.
Care.